Are we ready for our next challenge?
Yes.
So this is going to involve physical movement. And when we think about breathing, we don't want to just think about breathing sitting down. It's also very important to think about breathing during movement and to
Hmm.
bring everything that we've learned while sitting into movement. So whenever you're ready, we can
Okay.
start with, yes, let's go for
Yeah.
it. Okay, so now, Zuzka, I would like you to start walking with your mouth closed, tongue resting on the roof of the mouth, and just even walking on the spot and bringing your attention out of your mind and onto the body. Any sort of physical exercise should be training for your breathing and training for the brain. I would like to speed up the intensity of your walk so that you're walking with a mild degree of breathlessness. So you're breathing in and out through your nose. And now, what I would like you to do is to block your right nostril and breathe only through your left nostril. So, this in turn is going to concentrate all of your airflow through one side of the nose. And the reason that I specifically said to block your right nostril and to breathe through the left is that by breathing through the left nostril, it helps to induce relaxation. So, you're taking your attention out of your mind and onto the breath. You can make your physical exercise also a training for the brain. And the key here is not necessarily just holding your attention on your breathing for the entire time, because it is normal that the mind is going to wander. But whenever the mind wanders, you bring your attention back onto your breathing. And every time that you bring your attention back onto the breath, you're training the brain to be able to hold attention and hold focus. We develop that during physical movement and also during rest. And then when we need that skill, we can tap into that. Now I would like you to speed up your movement, breathing in and out through one nostril. You're feeling the airflow coming in through the left nostril. You're feeling the airflow as it's leaving the nose and bringing your attention out of your mind and into your body and onto your breath. The key here is that you feel a degree of breathlessness that's a bit stronger than what you would ordinarily experience. And that degree of breathlessness signifies that the gas carbon dioxide has increased in your lungs and blood. And the reason that carbon dioxide is increased is because you're breathing through one small nostril as opposed to two nostrils or even through an open mouth. 96% of people do their physical exercise with their mouth open. But why not do physical exercise with the mouth closed? Think of all the benefits it gives, including increased blood flow and oxygen delivery to the brain. So now, Zuzka, you will have increased blood flow and oxygen delivery to both the heart and the brain, and it's likely that the brain has increased blood flow by about 5 to 10%. You're also protecting your airways. Now what I would like you to do is to take your hand away from your nose and to place your hands either side of your lower ribs. And as you breathe in, that your ribs are gently moving out. And as you breathe out, your ribs are gently moving in. So the key here is to breathe light, to breathe slow, and to breathe deep. So when we think about the human lungs, the greatest concentration of blood flow is all in the lower lobes. So it's very important that we're able to take the air down into the lower regions of the lungs. So you're bringing your attention out of your mind and onto your body. And as you breathe in, you're feeling your lower ribs moving out. And as you breathe out, you're feeling your lower ribs moving in. Now, of course, one of the advantages of breathing with good recruitment of the diaphragm is that the diaphragm and good recruitment of it provides stabilization of the spine. So there is a relationship between breathing and movement, and individuals who have reduced recruitment of the diaphragm and increased breathing from the upper chest are more prone to injury. Hence, the importance of breathing in and out through the nose with good recruitment of the diaphragm. Now what I would like you to do, Zuzka, is to go into a light jog, just breathing in and out through your nose. So you're breathing in and out through your nose. And I would also like you to take your attention out of your mind and onto your breath. So this is not just a training for the body. This is also a training for your breathing. You have to bear in mind that as you're breathing in and out through your nose, you're adding an extra workload onto the diaphragm breathing muscle to help strengthen it, but you're also increasing carbon dioxide in the lungs and blood. And this in turn then is helping to reduce your chemosensitivity to carbon dioxide. So in other words, when you do physical exercise with your mouth closed, you're training your body to adapt, to do physical exercise with reduced ventilation. But initially, when you switch from mouth to nose breathing, the air hunger is a little bit stronger. That's normal. That's due to an accumulation of carbon dioxide in the lungs and blood. Carbon dioxide is the primary driver to breathe. So if we think of it this way, you're doing your physical exercise with your mouth closed, you're focusing on the airflow coming in and out of your nose, you're bringing your attention out of your head and onto your breathing. You're also breathing with an increased sensation of air hunger, which signifies that carbon dioxide is increased in the lungs and blood, and as a result you've got improved blood circulation and increased oxygen delivery. So now you're doing physical exercise with 5 to 10% increased blood flow to the brain. And given the number of people who do physical exercise solely for mental health reasons, why not optimize blood flow and oxygen delivery to the brain by breathing in and out through your nose with a better recruitment of the diaphragm, stimulation of the vagus nerve, and helping to reduce neuronal excitability. So this in essence is going to be a warm-up, Zuzka. You started off breathing in and out through the nose. Okay, we deliberately blocked one nostril to concentrate airflow, but you don't necessarily have to do that. But all warm-ups, a warm-up is really about preparing the body for more intense physical exercise. It's about preparation. It's not just about increasing the temperature of the muscles. We can do so much more with the warm-up. You're bringing your attention out of your mind and onto your breathing. So you're preparing the mind for more intense physical exercise or for competition. You're also breathing with good recruitment of the diaphragm. That's helping to provide stabilization of the spine. You're breathing in and out through your nose, which is increasing carbon dioxide in the lungs and blood. That in turn is increasing blood flow and oxygen delivery throughout the body. It's never just about what we bring into the body that counts. We have to be thinking about how much of that oxygen is transferred from the lungs into the blood and from the blood to the tissues and to the organs, including the heart and to the brain. So this is what your warm-up is about. Now what I'm going to do is go to the part 2 of the warm-up. And here what I would like you to do is to do some breath holding. So preparation is also about opening up the nose. So whenever you're ready, Zuzka, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose and pinch your nose and hold your nose and gently jog, holding your breath for about 10 to 15 paces. And after you let go is to let go, breathe in through your nose and then continue with gentle movement. So in other words, we're going to bring in some breath holds into movement, and this is all preparation. This is all part of the warm-up. So we do a couple of easy breath holds first, and then we do a few stronger breath holds. We want to get the airways open. We want to get the nose open. We also want to open up the airways in the lungs. This makes sense, especially when you're going to do more intense physical movement. A lot of individuals, they are prone to exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. Their airways narrow because of the demands set upon the lungs as a result of the increased physical exercise and the increased ventilation. So we want to open up the airways prior to more intense physical exercise, and that's what we're doing here. So whenever you're ready, Zuzka, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose and pinch your nose and hold your nose and jog, holding your breath for about 10 to 15 paces. So you're jogging, holding the breath for 10 to 15 paces, then to let go, to breathe in through your nose and continue jogging with nasal breathing only. Now what I would like you to do is to increase the intensity of your jog. You're still in zone 2, going fairly easy, just at an intensity of which you would experience during your normal warm-up. And now we're going to bring in some stronger breath holds. And typically we have about a minute's rest or a minute recovery between each breath hold. Now, what's the purpose of doing a stronger breath hold? It forces the body to make adaptations. So now whenever you're ready, Zuzka, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose and pinch your nose and hold your nose and jog, holding the breath. And now jog a little bit faster and keep relaxing into the body and keep going and keep pushing, keep going, keep pushing, keep going, keep pushing. Then let go and get your breathing under control in and out through your nose and back down to jogging just at a normal pace or any sort of movement. So if you're a boxer, you could be doing shadow boxing. So whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter the movement, it's all about bringing breathing into that movement And especially when you're doing any movement, that it's not part of a team, that you can tailor this sequence into your normal everyday training. And now, Zuzka, is to bring your attention out of the mind and onto your breath. So what I would like you to do is jog with every cell of your body, move with every cell of your body, not just about going through the motions, using this as a training for the brain. When the mind wanders off, bring your attention back onto your breath, back into the body. Disperse your attention throughout the body and move with every cell of the body. The head is not always a good place to be. There is a time to think, but now is not a time for thinking. Now is a time for giving all of your attention to yourself, bringing your attention into what you're doing, and specifically during the warm-up at this time. Whenever you're ready, Zuzka, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and pinch your nose and hold your nose. And now do whatever movement you're doing, holding your breath. Move a bit faster. Keep relaxing into the body. You will have involuntary contractions of the diaphragm. Keep bringing a feeling of relaxation. Push, push, push. When you need to let go, let go. Breathe in through your nose. Get your breathing under good control. And you can even slow down the intensity of the exercise or the intensity of the movement. The main thing is sustain nasal breathing. So now to continue. Your mind might wander off. I would like you to bring your attention back onto your breathing. So I think it's always useful, Zuzka. Very often we feel that meditation is about sitting in the lotus position. Not at all. We can bring attention onto the breath in any activity and every activity. And there's something wonderful about that, because it helps to lift the heaviness of what's going on in the mind. So now for our number 3 breath hold. Take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and pinch your nose and hold your nose. And as you're holding the breath, when the air hunger increases, I would like you to increase the intensity of your movement. So almost that you're matching the intensity of your movement with the intensity of the air hunger. And the key is to relax into it. Keep pushing until you feel a relatively strong air hunger, and then letting go and breathing in and out through your nose and getting your breathing under control. Now bear in mind, your breath hold during this movement is not going to be so high as it would be during rest, and the reason being is because you're moving your body. You already have a sensation of breathlessness, and you're adding a breath hold on top of that. So for a moment, I'm going to talk about what happens during that breath hold. You've stopped breathing even though you're moving, and during that time your cells are extracting oxygen from the blood. But you haven't replenished that oxygen because you've stopped breathing. So this is going to cause your blood oxygen saturation to lower, provided that you hold your breath for long enough to do that. Now at the same time, due to you having stopped breathing, carbon dioxide can't leave the body so quickly enough. So carbon dioxide increases in the lungs and blood. So you have a lowering of oxygen and you've got an increase in carbon dioxide. And this in turn is increasing hydrogen ion. And hydrogen ion normally is implicated in causing fatigue. So you're deliberately putting your body into a drop of pH due to the increased hydrogen ion to force the body to make adaptations, and those adaptations include delaying lactic acid and fatigue. So in other words, we're using these exercises to force our body to make adaptations that are conducive to improved sports performance. Let's go with the next one, Zuzka. So whenever you're ready, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and pinch your nose and hold your nose. And you're moving, holding your breath. And as the air hunger increases, increase the intensity of your movement. Surrender to the feeling of air hunger. It's not a nice feeling. Air hunger is quite uncomfortable. It's a primal fear, but you're surrendering to it. And there's something tremendous going on here. You're training your brain not to react to discomfort. So we're training the brain to be able to cope with the discomfort of air hunger. And of course, we don't want to overdo it. The objective here is at the end of the breath hold that you resume normal breathing within a couple of breaths. And now, Zuzka, you're breathing in and out through your nose during your physical movement. I would like you to take your attention out of your mind and onto the breath into the body. I would like you to move with every cell of your body. Whenever your mind wanders off, bring your attention back. So, in terms of a warm-up, all warm-ups during physical exercise, it should be a warm-up in preparation for more intense exercise, but it's also an ideal routine and an ideal scenario to bring attention onto our breathing to help bring balance to the autonomic nervous system, to cause our body to make adaptations, that we add an extra load onto our breathing so that the degree of breathlessness during physical exercise then is reduced. And also, by doing some stronger breath holds, we help to open up the airways. We help to put the body and mind into a physiological and psychological stress, and we also cause the spleen to contract. So now for number 5, Zuzka. Whenever you're ready, take a normal breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and pinch your nose and hold your nose and jog holding the breath. And as the air hunger increases, go faster. Keep relaxing into the body. Keep pushing, keep going, keep pushing, keep going, keep pushing. When the air hunger gets quite strong, let go. Breathing in and out through your nose, get your breathing under good control, and you can also slow down the intensity of the movement. Now you may feel that your legs go a little bit jelly. That may be due to diaphragmatic fatigue, or it may be due to a buildup of hydrogen ion. But these exercises here are quite powerful. A lot of people, they do high intensity training to stimulate anaerobic glycolysis. The physical movement that you're doing right now with breath hold is stronger than high intensity training with your mouth open in terms of lowering blood oxygen and increasing carbon dioxide. So if we want to cause our body to make adaptations to better handle a lower oxygen and increase carbon dioxide during physical exercise, don't think about pushing your body harder and faster. Think about breathing less. And these benefits then carry into your normal exercise routine, even when you have your mouth open during physical exercise. So now what I would like you to do, Zuzka, in terms of recovery, I would like you to feel your heart rate. You might locate it, or you may have a watch on a whoop, or you may just locate it just at the angle of your jaw, the carotid artery. I would like you to bring your attention onto the speed of your heart rate. So can you feel your heart rate? And as you do that, I would like you to use your breath to help bring down your heart rate faster. How can you do that? Take a soft breath in through your nose and allow a really relaxed and a slow and a gentle breath out. So this way you can help to lower your heart rate quicker by stimulating the vagus nerve, which in turn will secrete a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which causes the heart rate to slow down. The cardiovascular system and the respiratory system are connected. Both are affecting the other, but the respiratory system has an even bigger impact over the cardiovascular system. So you're bringing your attention onto the speed of your heart rate. You're taking a soft breath in through your nose and a really relaxed and a slow and a gentle breath out. At the same time, I would like you to bring a feeling of relaxation throughout the body. I would like you to encourage your breathing to soften and slow down so that you've got a faster heart rate recovery. Now, in saying that, when you do physical exercise with your mouth closed, you typically will have a faster heart rate recovery. Okay, so now to take a rest at that. Take a rest at that. So great, Zuzka. What I would like to do is to do a quick summary in terms of physical movement. So just a few steps. How are you feeling?
I feel really good.
Good, great.
Um, it was harder. Normally, I don't have any issues just exercising with my mouth closed. By the breath holds,
Ah, yeah.
those were intense. Those are intense. But I do have to say that I do feel that makes me afterwards. I feel so much more alert. I do feel like that it must be that brain oxygenation that makes me feel that way, right?
There's quite a change there. When you held your breath there, so even though your blood oxygen saturation, and this is where a pulse oximeter could be useful, that you can monitor your blood oxygen saturation. See, the human body is so intelligent. Once it senses that blood oxygen has dropped, it's going to conserve blood flow for the most essential organs, including the heart and the brain. So very often people notice during breath holding that their hands get cold, or for example, their legs can go jelly. Now, it's not only that oxygen is dropping, but carbon dioxide is increasing. And both effects are going to improve blood flow to the brain. So it's interesting that you feel more alert as a result of doing the exercises, even though you've brought them in as part of your warm up. Yeah, it's all good. It's
I
all
like it.
good.
I think I'm gonna use it when I'm maybe before studying, when I try to increase my alertness. I think that would be a great exercise for that.
Do you know, this could be a great conversation because very often people ask a similar question and they ask, when I wake up first thing in the morning, if I'm feeling pretty lousy or feeling unrefreshed, what breathing exercise should I do? Now, I think we need to take a step back with that question because it's so common, and I'm sure many of your followers are wondering about it. If we're waking up feeling if we're waking up feeling unrefreshed, the body is telling us something. Our
Hmm.
sleep quality has not been good, even though we may have had 8 hours of sleep. But how well did we sleep during that time? Was our mouth open? Was our mouth closed? Personally, I find the best thing to do if I wake up feeling tired, maybe it's due to jet lag or maybe I've just had a poor night's sleep, I do a rest and reset.
Hmm.
I don't do anything to upregulate at that point. I think we have to conserve energy first, but then that's just me. So I think we should put two options out there. One is if one is feeling sluggish and you want to rest and reset, you can do that by simply sitting down, closing the eyes, bringing attention from the front part of the head even towards the back of the brain, bringing attention into the body and onto the breath. And it's almost that you're taking a mini nap, but it's not quite a nap. So we have guided audios to assist with that because that's allowing you to recoup energy levels. Now, after that, then it could be really good to do physical exercise with the mouth closed and bring in some breath holds. So I think the combination of the two could be a great start to the day.
I think so. I really think that this is gonna help.
Do you
Yeah.
feel a lot of your the people that you're working with, how do they wake up or how do they feel when they wake up in the morning?
I don't work with people one on one anymore. Um, but just from most people that I know, that just friends and family, um, people don't wake up typically just excited to jump out of bed and and all refreshed. I am very few people do that.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was
Yeah.
listening to an interview today by Dr. Christian Guilleminault. Now he's passed on, so but I remember I met him a few times over the years, and he's considered to be a founding father of sleep medicine. And he said that about 60 to 70% of people have poor sleep quality and they're waking up feeling unrefreshed.
Hmm.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And you know, especially with females as well, there's what's called upper airway resistance syndrome. And that can be that there's some resistance to breathing during sleep that's affecting sleep quality. But if the female goes and does a sleep study, it doesn't register on the sleep study because it doesn't meet the criteria that you would need to diagnose for, say, for example, something like sleep apnea. So, upper airway resistance syndrome, oxygen saturation hardly drops. The individual isn't stopping breathing during sleep. So, at the end of the sleep study, the doctor is going to tell them, well, their sleep is normal, but they don't feel normal. And they can have symptoms of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue,
Mm.
anxiety, panic disorder, mental health issues as a result of a sleep condition that's very difficult to diagnose, but it's more prevalent in females. And often with that as well, they have low arousal threshold. In other words, a little bit of insomnia. So they
Mhm.
may wake up during the middle of the night. But this is where breathing comes in as well. Now, I'm just thinking about bringing the few steps together in terms of the warm up that we did. Because the way I look at it is a warm up is never just about warming the muscles, it's really about preparation for more intense physical exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much that we can do in the warm-up. So when we were going through the paces there earlier on, I had you block one nostril first of all. The purpose of that was to restrict airflow. By doing that, you increase carbon dioxide in your lungs and blood. So that's increasing blood flow and increasing oxygen delivery throughout the body. But it's also adding an extra load onto your breathing, especially the diaphragm, because you're breathing against resistance. So you're helping to strengthen the diaphragm breathing muscle, which is important because a stronger diaphragm means reduced breathlessness then during physical exercise. And the fact that you were breathing in and out through the nose, you would have had a better recruitment of the diaphragm anyway. Then you were doing slow breathing, taking fuller breaths but less of them during physical exercise. That enhances alveolar ventilation. So basically, breath by breath, you have increased oxygen transfer from the lungs into the blood. And with nasal breathing, that will increase by nearly 10%. So we also had you bring your attention out of your mind and onto your breath and into the body, training for the brain. What better place to do it than during the warm-up? So the
Mm-hmm.
warm-up is also an ability or a means to help improve concentration and focus. And then you did a couple of easy breath holds. So that's just in preparation for the stronger breath holds that we did. And then you did 5 stronger breath holds to open up the nose so that it's easier to breathe through it, to open up the lungs. And especially if we think of the extent of the human airways, there's about 23 branches, and that the airways can be very, very small. And yet we can target that, we can help to open them up so to prepare the body then for increased ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
You also talked about feeling more alert after the exercise, and that can be due to the increased blood flow going to the brain as a result of doing breath holds. And of course, there was a psychological and physiological stress. So you can reduce the perception of breathlessness during physical exercise by doing breath holds during warm up, for example, and also the physiological stress. What we did there was deliberately lower oxygen and increase carbon dioxide to force the body to make adaptations. And those adaptations include increased buffering capacity, but basically being able to delay lactic acid and fatigue. So it's an interesting warm up.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do we bring this into our way of life? You know, I don't think people now have the time to be doing one more thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're already swamped, you know.
Right.
They, they have to do physical exercise. They feel a pressure to do mindfulness or meditation. And now they're feeling a pressure to do breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, let's be realistic. How can we do all 3 together? You just did all 3 together there. You know, that's what it's about. And I think that's the easiest way that we will continue with it by
Mm-hmm.
bearing in mind, especially if we're just doing physical exercise by ourselves, that we can easily bring in breathing exercises there. Now, today we started off by little strategies in terms of if the mind is quite active and how common is it in terms of human beings that the mind has a tendency to race. It would be very interesting to get inside the minds of most people. So, on the front of it, you see a lovely smile, but what's happening in the background? Can you imagine if we got an insight into the
Right.
human condition
Just
and we
my own mind. It's a chaos behind the face. It's a chaos.
it's everybody's mind.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think this is something that's going to be decreasing anytime too soon. In actual fact, I think it's actually going to get worse. And the reason being is because modern technology is not helping the situation. You know, years
Yeah.
ago, we used to maybe go to church, people were praying. When they were saying a prayer, they had their attention on the prayer itself. It was a
Mm.
mantra. They had their attention out of the mind. Nowadays, there's kind of a void there. So, this is where breathing exercise can come in. So, I think for everybody, you know, like I was doing some brief videos earlier on today, and I was thinking to myself, like, what's the one thing that we can really get out of all of this? And it is a capacity to help to bring a quietness and a stillness to the mind and a gap between thoughts. So, all the time that you were doing the breathing exercises as you were sitting, you were placing your attention onto the breath, But you weren't just placing attention on your breathing, you were also telling the brain that you were safe. And that's all the brain wants.
Hmm.
And especially the exercise, taking a soft breath in through the nose and a really relaxed and a slow and a gentle breath out. And it's a wonderful exercise. There's nothing for anybody to see. So it's almost that it's a secret tool that we can use to help improve our performance. And I think there's also a comfort in knowing the fact that we have that exercise to fall back on. We can go into more challenging situations knowing that, yes, if I do feel a bit ramped up, I've got some control over my physiology to help quieten things down again, you
Mm.
know?